Reyes in here. I'm going to change that attendance sheet next semester. I'm going to add an option for late. If you're late, you're going to get only half the attendance credit. I won't worry about a minute or two. Yes. Now, there are two types of projects for standalone projects. Technically, I mean, let's say the project is coming up with a new product. The alternative is doing nothing. Okay? Uh, versus mutually exclusive. Sometimes there are projects, if you pick one of them, you cannot pick the other. Let's say you're going to buy everybody the same computer. You're going to either buy a Chromebook, a Mac, or PCs, right? If you buy everybody a Mac, then you won't be buying PCs or the Chromebooks. Such projects are called mutually exclusive. So decision rule is for standalone, except if NPV is positive. Remember, NPV is the value that is added to the firm. So that makes quite a bit of sense. For mutually exclusive, accept the project with highest NPV, provided the highest is positive. Just because you have two projects that are competing does not mean that you have to accept either one. If both of them are negative NPV, that means if you decide to go with either of those projects, your firm is going to lose value. You always have the default option of doing nothing. So that's technically the third option. Even the standalone, you have two options: go with the project or do nothing. You know, net present value of doing nothing is zero. If you don't change anything in the firm, nothing will change. Now, let's think about the properties of NPV. Does it take time value of the money into account? Let's look at the definition. Does it treat cash flows from year one the same as the cash flows from year 10? No, it does not. $100 in year one is a lot better than $100 in year 10. Does it take riskiness into account? As long as that discount rate has been chosen with risk adjustment, yes. Does it take all the cash flows into account? Yes. I'm using whatever I'm given. And does it give you an indication of how much value is added to the firm? That is the precise definition of NPV. If you accept the project, that's how much value is added to the firm. So it satisfies all four criteria that we have. You're probably saying, so why don't we just stop there? Well, in a perfect world, we should have, but or in a world where decisions are made by the real AI, you know, computer programs that are actually sentient and ability to has the ability to make decisions. We're not there yet. What they call AI now are just machine learning models. I mean, it's relatively speaking, there is a little bit of intelligence, but it's not to the point of HAL 9000. Of course, you guys are probably way too young to know what HAL 9000 is. It's AI from a 1969 movie by Stanley Kubrick, arguably the best ever movie director. It's called 2001: The Space Odyssey. It has a famous line. It's kind of creepy. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. And he starts killing the astronauts because he decides that the astronauts are a threat to his existence. So takes precautions. But decisions are made by executives. And when you make presentations to executives, a lot of these guys are more interested in numbers like, what's my rate of return kind of question. NPV doesn't tell you anything about that. So one of the uh, popular measures is called internal rate of return. Technically speaking, it is not a proper rate of return number because it assumes that you could reinvest the cash flows at that rate, which is probably not the case. And we're going to abbreviate that to IRR. And IRR solves the following equation. Basically, it is the discount rate that makes NPV zero. And it has the simple Excel implementation. There's one issue with IRR, among others. There are two types of cash flows. One of them is conventional. That means all future cash flows are non-negative, which is a fancy way of saying are either positive or zero, and never negative. There are certain projects that may create negative future cash flows, especially if it's a project that requires some sort of cleanup at the end. Think about a mountaintop removal project, coal mining. The regulation says once you're done, you have to clean up the site, you know, with a lot of new trees and that sort of stuff. That costs money. It's not a cost that you incur right now, but you're going to incur at the end, which may make last cash flow possibly negative. All right. Or it could be a project In the first few years, it could make you lose money, but you can make money later on. If a project has at least one negative future cash flow, those cash flows are called non-conventional. Now, you, we have a well-known theorem. If the cash flows are conventional, there exists a unique solution to the equation that defines IRR. There is at least one solution and exactly one solution. That's what unique means. Oh, that kind of makes sense. That's desirable anyway. But